Here we go. It's October. The October vibes has arrived. The fall vibes. This is the time we can see this game. But unfortunately, I think things got changed. Welcome to this live premiere. We're gonna get into it. Just love seeing stuff like this. Maybe they'll surprise us. This could be something in November. Maybe. I'm still hopeful for this title. Look out! I just love seeing this. Just some of this cut. Just the cutscene. It's dope. So welcome to this live premiere. We're gonna go ahead and start talking about Kart Racers 4. I know it's been a while. It's been a lot of good games. We got the Patcher Star game coming out in 3 days. Let's turn this down. Let's take the voices off. Let me see. Let's do the sound. Let's take that off so it's not making that constant noise when you go through the menu. But we're just gonna go ahead and start talking about this live today. This is for October 1st. You guys will see this sometime later on in the afternoon, and take a look at the characters. It's just something. It's a good amount of changes that they can do for this game if we get one. But I'm just gonna be honest, I think we're probably gonna end up getting it next year, because it seems like that Looney Tunes Sports, or Looney Tunes Wacky World of Sports, is the newest game by Bamtane, who are the developers, and the developers responsible for Nickelodeon Kart Racers 3. They're the developers that's responsible and behind these Kart Racer series from Kart Racers 1 through 3. And we haven't had none of these games really include a Wild Thornberrys character, and we don't have much to really look forward to when it comes to this game. It came out and there was nothing really to look forward to for as far as patches. It only had 1 to 2 patches, I believe, or maybe 1 significant patch, and it was only 1 change for this game where they separated the DLC, or the Turbo Pack. Because when you bought Nickelodeon Kart Racers 3, the Turbo Edition included the DLC, which was the only way to get access to characters like Zuko. And we're going to start getting into the roster in a little while for later on. I'm not sure how long this is going to be, but we want to get some more conversation started and characters that we want to see for this game. So even if this is something that they're going to be working on next year, we definitely want them to see this so they'll be able to know what we're looking for Kart Racers 4, so it could be a successful title, and it can have players that can keep on playing and playing, and they don't have to worry about playing online to unlock certain characters and winning. So that way we'll be able to play and be able to unlock these characters from just playing the game and not having to worry about crossing the finish line first and trying to win and beat everybody and win every single match. But some talking points that I want to get into real quick is, do you guys think this game is going to come out this year, or maybe it could be a 2025 release? I'm not sure what's going to possibly end up happening for this game, but I really think that now we probably would have got a trailer by now. But it makes you think about other games like DreamWorks that they released. It had a November release date. What if that's something that's going to probably have? That could be the case for this game. But I'm still hopeful for this game to come out maybe either this year or next year. It's still something that's going to possibly end up happening in the near future. So even if it's not this year, it's completely fine, because Looney Tunes Wacky World of Sports seems to have been their plans for 2024 and in the cards. But the one thing that some people don't really notice about the developers is that they usually come out with more than 1 title per year. Because Avatar Quest for Balance came out last year, and they also did DreamWorks Kart Racing. And if someone in here could probably correct me if I'm wrong, was there another title that they did early on? Because I don't remember. I did enjoy Quest for Balance, even though it was different. Some glitches here and there, but the puzzles was really crazy and tough. But seeing the Avatar game come out, which was nice, Avatar Quest for Balance, and then they did DreamWorks All-Star Kart Racing. Avatar came out in October, I believe. I think I have the dates wrong, between September and October, and then DreamWorks came out in November, and then shortly after that, the same month as DreamWorks, we got Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 2. So I think that's going to be something that could possibly end up happening. But I think Bamtane wanted to focus on Looney Tunes Wacky World of Sports, and I think maybe something got changed. Maybe this game got canceled. What if the game got canceled? What if plans changed when they got the license for by Warner Bros. To be able to have access to the Looney Tunes characters, and they decided to work on Looney Tunes Wacky World of Sports? Maybe Nickelodeon Kart Racers 4 was their original plan. I'm not sure if this is true, but this is just a whole different scenario, and just looking at it on the other side of things. Maybe since they got access to Bugs Bunny and all those, the license to Looney Tunes and Warner Bros., they worked on Looney Tunes Wacky World of Sports instead of Nickelodeon Kart Racers 4. Maybe that was the change in their plans. Things probably got changed. Maybe this was the game that they decided to go with instead of Nickelodeon Kart Racers 4. Maybe this is the last installment. And I don't want to say that. What if this is the last time we'll see a Nickelodeon Kart Racers game? We'll probably have to get a different Nicktoons crossover, but I don't want this series to end. See how big this roster is? We got 42 characters, over 40 characters that's playable. These don't even need to be in the game. They could have done a lot more. We're going to get into that soon. And it's just like, the other thing that I want to bring up, when this game was announced, when it first got announced from its reveal anniversary, they didn't even say anything. The main Twitter page didn't even have anything to showcase for it, to celebrate some of these characters, to show some of the tracks. Let's just show some of those real quick. The main Twitter page, the main official Nickelodeon Kart Racers page, did not have anything to show as far as the tracks. No new characters, nothing to really announce, and no sort of countdown. We're not going to play a race. We could play one. They didn't have anything. Maybe we'll just play one on the live. Just do something a little different. Let's turn the laps down. Anybody got a favorite track? So just pick anything. But they didn't have anything to showcase as far as tracks. And some of the first tracks that got showcased was the New York Rooftops track that was shown, and then it was the Avatar. It's so much more that they played. I'm gonna go to my Jelly Metals track, so people don't want to probably see some of the camper characters. We gonna get into all that soon, but some of the tracks were never showcased, and they didn't really communicate. They didn't even. It would have been cool even if they didn't have anything to announce. It would have been nice to see them post about their game to celebrate its anniversary. When it first came out, when it first got revealed, and we're gonna pick. Let's try to pick. I don't even know who y'all want to see. She's definitely not coming back. Let's pick a different character that people don't really pick with. Let's try to pick Susie, because she was one of a bigger difference of characters, and things changed. I should just pick one of the new reps. Let's do Jimmy Neutron, for example. Let's just put him on a bike, things like that. They showed the customizations. They showed the bikes and the different tracks and the different styles and customizations that you could be able to pick. Let's put it on Johnny 13. The DLC with the slime wheels. We're just gonna rock everything that we have with the slime parts, things like that. Got the KCA with the paint. We about to rock the Jimmy Neutron sort of paint. Well, what do you guys think is gonna happen? So y'all can chime in to the live chat or into the YouTube comments some of the characters y'all want to see. Maybe you want to see some characters to get cut from the roster. Maybe some of y'all want to see certain characters make it into the game who hasn't had a game in years. Like to me, for example. We're gonna get into the roster, but we're just gonna play a little bit. Just some of these two characters, for example, Plankton and Mr. Krabs getting into Nickelodeon All-Star Raw 2. I think they're gonna be one of the new reps, and some people probably don't like Plankton and Mr. Krabs. I think they still have a really good chance of getting into the game anyway, because they were playable in Kart Racers. Well, I'm gonna say Kart Racers, but Nickelodeon All-Star Raw 2 as new reps. Mr. Krabs was DLC, and then Plankton was one of the new fighters. Let's pick the DLC characters that was included. It's only natural, right? from the Turbo Pack. We got Shredder and Fire Ozai that was included in that Turbo Pack DLC. I think it was like $8. But I got the Turbo Edition anyway and went with it. No, because it was worth it to have those characters, and then that was the only way to play Zuko. They had nice tracks. They could have showcased some of their games. And the one thing that bothered me the most is that the main Twitter's page being so silent, and they could have just did some kind of anniversary post. We don't have any news. You know, how are people liking the game? They could do like a check-in for some of the audience out there. It's the main page to only find out. You could not find out anything about this game. And we have the voices off just for now. We're just playing this just for something different. Y'all want to see this little secret shortcut? Some people don't know about this. You could break in the air, jump. You could do this online too. See, you get instantly first place. They had secret shortcuts, and you could tell that's how they put in some kind of secret stuff in some of these tracks. You could get a good start, be able to lead. You definitely don't want to mess up though, because once you mess up and fall, you lose your momentum. So get the coins. They have frenzies. This is something that they can definitely do for the next game. New frenzies and items and things like that. This game deserved a little bit more. I'm not sure how it did in sales. I don't really talk about that, but they could have kept players playing if characters weren't a lot behind online. We're gonna get into the roster. You should have communicated. We could have had communication, all that kind of stuff, and things to look forward to with DLC. Let's get some real DLC. We're gonna be talking about the roster right after this race. Let's get Sheen up in here with his Ultra Lord. Imagine him being a playable character. See that? You could just, he said science predict this result, you know? I didn't mean to say something. It's like too fast. See how you can just get, these tracks are well done. The music is great. We definitely deserved more. We definitely deserve more characters to get into this game. We needed more characters, and we're gonna start talking about the character patches and the choices that I put on the thumbnail. This is just something for design purposes, but they're worth talking about, and that's why I've extended it a little bit and adding a 6-pack of characters to be able to discuss for this game, and we need to get more for this game if we definitely get one at some point, even if it's next year. If Looney Tunes is all they have to show for 2024, I'm completely fine. The game is fine, but the one thing that stood out to me from Looney Tunes, it doesn't have any online multiplayer, but Nickelodeon Kart Racers 4, well, Nickelodeon Kart Racers 3 had online. But Looney Tunes that they worked on, the newest project, didn't have online. It doesn't even have crossplay. It doesn't have any of that stuff. Looney Tunes is only offline, and it's only local multiplayer. So you have to have someone to play with in the same room as you, and you can invite friends over to play, which is fine. But it needs to have online, and without crossplay, with Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 2 having crossplay and an online feature, those are important features to have in your titles going forward. So if Kart Racers 4 comes out next year and what have you, we gotta get some online and some crossplay to really be able to have players be able to play against each other instead of having to worry about buying a whole nother console. Well, we got the game, and everybody else is playing on the Nintendo Switch. And I don't have the Nintendo Switch, so you gotta go out and try to buy a Nintendo Switch, and then on top of that, then you gotta pay for the game, then you gotta pay for the Nintendo Switch online membership. You know what I mean? So that's just the things that's gonna happen to some of these players. I play on Nintendo Switch and PlayStation, but I didn't get the game on the Nintendo Switch because I knew the Nintendo Switch version was gonna get done dirty, which is exactly what happened to this game. Nintendo Switch frame rate was just so bad from what I heard, and it had the most problems, and some people out there, they could not even complete the time trials because it had so many problems. I want to start talking about this first to address the issues. The game has so many issues. Let's pull up the tire trials. The tire trials, and I remember some of y'all from the chat that found the channel from it. Let's pull one of the most difficult tire trials that I had, that from my experience from my old playlist from Nickelodeon Kart Racers 3, was Toy Palace. Chucky was not playing games. Chucky was not Chucky was not playing any games whatsoever. He was tough, and I think Toy Palace gave me the most trouble. But to going back to the frame rate, it was the water tribe. Most people mentioned that they could not get through, and they had a horrible experience from playing the water tribe. I forgot who you go against from the water tribe. So this is just recent tire trials that I played. Some people mentioned how bad Water Tribe was and how poorly it ran because of the frame rate, because of the water. So once they get to the water, with the waves that you have to be able to use to elevate and boost off of to get the boost launch or the boost jump off of, it would drop frames and it would be completely unplayable. So that's something that was going on for this game. It was just the frame rate with some glitches and bugs and things like that. And people mentioned the frames per second, 30 frames per second, and how low the frames were being displayed and played from a hands-on experience for Nintendo Switch. So then the time trials was something that took a while for them to get fixed. We gotta get some of this stuff to get addressed. And one thing as an idea before we start getting into characters to wrap up, we need a support center of contact for bugs and issues so things could be known and get addressed as soon as possible. Now, I'm not looking for a day one or overnight fix or within the first week. It could probably come out very soon, but it needs to be communicated to get some of this stuff fixed for some of these games, because we still have frame rate issues in this. I won't say frame rate issues on the PS5 version. We still have bugs that still exist. Infinite boosters online, and you would get a boost item as if you're all the way in dead last. It's a known issue only on PlayStation, and it still happens, and I'm one of them. I'm one of the players who has infinite boosters online, so you'll never catch me. So when I get to item box, I'm gonna get an item. I'm gonna get the pretty patties that gives you like a significant boost and invincibility all into one, and then I'm also gonna get the Yahoo soda from Hey Arnold, the super little soda boost, and then on top of that, you even have the power to get the jellyfish in first place. It's just things like that never got addressed, so you could take advantage to really get your online wins at the time. But there's not really many people playing this game anymore now, which is sad. So it's just crazy to see just some of those glitches and some of the AI get stuck. And some kind of particular thing I wanted to bring up, some people probably don't know this. If you played this game, the road show was forgotten, and it's not even in the online playlist as a playable track. You could only play the road show offline. The road show was completely skipped for some reason. How did they miss that though? But you see what I mean? We need a support center for contact for bugs and issues so things could be known. So an idea that I wanted to propose out today for this video today is, if they make a Nickelodeon Kart Racers 4 or some kind of Nickelodeon game with these characters, we got to get a official Discord channel so people can be able to communicate with the developers and be able to report the issues that's going on with these titles. Because with people not knowing anything was going on and no issues, they're going to be blindsided. They're going to be blind, and they're not going to know what's going on for their game when it's in trouble, when it has so many problems like Turtle Lair. We got to get some of this stuff addressed. It needs to be going forward, not even just having a Twitter page, having an official Discord channel. That's the way developers are able to stay in touch with their fans and the players, the player base and the fans out there. And for those that's new to the game, they could get their questions answered. They could be able to get all the information that they need to know for this game and to know what's going on, and to be able to report the issues that's going on and the problems if there's any sort of performance issues or something that's broken. because when things just don't get patched, see what's going on with All-Star Brawl 2, hate to say it, things start breaking and breaking and breaking and breaking and breaking, and things don't get fixed. Anybody remember that Mr. Krabs flashing issue? That's what was going on. When things are not known, things take a little bit longer to get discovered, and those deadly game-breaking issues can really affect the player base, and you lose players that way. So let's start talking about the character roster and just things that they could do really quickly. And the characters that y'all see in this pack, what do you guys think? Just for SpongeBob reps, for example, I'm not saying cut Sandy or anything like that. They definitely should bring everybody back, which I wouldn't have a problem with. But I just this whole role in general, this individual role, I don't see them coming back. But maybe Squidino end up returning, since I heard the Patrick Star show is still going on. So the camper characters could be costumes. They could do costumes. They could do some of these things for these characters to have them unlockable costumes that should have been costumes like these two. Definitely get these characters up out of here. We definitely don't need them. They definitely about to get them out. They shouldn't have been DLC. How is he behind a paywall with no difference, with a different color? Same animations. Look at him. See, he was just doing a wave. He was still waving. He does the same thing. No stat differences. At least change the stats. Make some ideal changes and be unique. That's what we need for this game if it does happen. If it hasn't been canceled or plans got changed because of Looney Tunes. So the SpongeBob Rush, just real quick, I definitely want to see everybody return from this top row. But I think the newer characters, just like I mentioned, Mr. Krabs and Plankton, are definitely probably going to become, they're going to graduate and they're going to become playable characters because they're playable in Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 2, so I see them doing a similar thing. Let's get some new shows like the Angry Beavers, Tough Puppies, Deadly Puppy, and Kitty Castle, and I threw in Snaptrap because this game doesn't have enough villains that's playable. We gotta get some villains. We gotta get some new shows. The Wild Thornberrys not being in this game is wild. They haven't been in none of these titles ever since Nicktoons Racing. But it's not a kart racer series. It's not part of the kart racers. It's Nicktoons Racing. We don't have a single rep in regards to Wild Thornberrys. We could get some of those. They will even count as new shows, which is just crazy to think of, when they've already been in these other games from All-Star Brawl. But how come they're not thinking about them as far as the kart racer series? And I'm not going to bring up popularity. They need to be in this game because they've been represented in both of the All-Star Brawl games. Let's talk Danny Phantom real quick. I think Ember's going to be playable since she's one of the new reps. And then Vlad Plasmius definitely deserves to become a playable character. He's not even a chief. I wouldn't be surprised if he becomes a chief instead of a crew member or a crew engineer and a crew mechanic. But the Chiefs have a better chance. I think some of the Chiefs have a greater chance of becoming playable. Like Skulker, Vasis, who should be in the game. Just new reps. Let's get some new characters. I think some of these characters can have a chance of returning. Angelica make a return. Tommy and Angelica. Keep Susie in the game because she deserves to stay. And then Heifer got cut. He became a chief. But Shredder didn't even make it as a chief. He became a crew member that's behind a paywall that you already could see. You obviously can't pick the same crew member twice, but it's just things like that that could possibly be able to get changed. The Loud House can get some new characters. It's not just Lincoln Loud, Lucy, and Clyde. Some of y'all want to see the other siblings get into the game. You know, we don't need Zuko's whole family into the game. We got to get some other characters and other reps from these shows. Hugh Neutron should have been playable. Maybe he could be playable too. But for Danny Phantom, he has a lot of great characters and great villains that can stack up. Those villains can become bosses. They can even go as far as adding Sam to become a playable character. She has something to do. She had a role in Nickelodeon or Nicktoons Unite. So they could definitely do stuff like that. And then just to close out and wrap up, how about Nick Jr. reps? Dora, Marshall for Paw Patrol. Just those are successors. Paw Patrol is a successor, and I was going to also bring up Blaze and the Monster Machine because they got a game coming out this month since we up in October. I'm definitely going to be playing that. I'm excited to play those games. They got all those characters in one game as a crossover. So what's stopping them from becoming playable racers? Not saying they gotta be in a fighting game, they have a better chance being in a racing game, and it's more of a fit for marketing for those characters. And I went with Pablo from Backyardigans, another great show. They could go back into the past to add some of these characters. Fairly Odd Parents, Timmy and Hazel. Hazel has a good chance over Timmy, but he needs to be in the game. I don't care who they add. Even if Hazel gets in over Timmy, at least we got a Fairly Odd Parents rep, and they got the rights to that character. They won't have to worry about jumping over hoops, and they can bring those characters together. They can make a Jimmy Timmy game for real. They can, but I don't know. Things are different now, so it's gonna take some time for them to probably get those characters into the game. We gotta get some support for these titles. We gotta get some communication. We gotta get like a Discord or something so we just don't go ghost on the community. That's what happened to this game. It came out just like Looney Tunes. They're probably not gonna update that game. Is that gonna get any new DLC? Marvin the Martian's not even playable in that game, which is insane. Is that gonna get DLC? Is that gonna get updates? Is that gonna get any patches? Is that gonna get any sort of communication on what we can expect for the game? It just came out last Friday. It just came out, and now I guarantee you it's just going to sit there. It's just going to sit there. They changed the banner on the Twitter page to Looney Tunes Wacky World of Sports. It's just going to sit there. And it's just like what happened to this game. We got to get some stuff rolling for these titles so people can know what's going on. So even if the game doesn't ever come out, they can think about that. Far as Nicktoons or Nickelodeon crossovers, they can build more to get more for some of these characters. Let's stop taking the turtles out of these games, bring them together, and then they can have the different versions of the turtles as costumes, and you can charge the player. That's how you get your money's worth, because people love the 2012 versions of the TMNT and more, depending on which your favorite TMNT is. Some people like Rise, things like that. The Rise of the TMNT, they can do stuff like that for these characters and unlock some of the costumes. They definitely can do stuff to really be able to get the player interested. They don't need to be playable racers, because you're just wasting slots. It's like you didn't have anything else to think of. You couldn't think of nothing. Just think about it for a second before we close this out. You couldn't think about it. Just sit there and think about it. You could not think about any other show and no other characters. Look, Eliza and Nigel could have been in these spots. Or we could have had one Thornberry's character or a Rocket Power character or somebody get represented in this game. You couldn't think of nothing else. You could have thought of some other shows to get in. We could have had 2 other reps for these 2 different worlds for shows to get represented. He should not be behind a paywall. That was the biggest, dumbest mistake I've ever seen. So we gotta get some new characters. Hopefully we get new reps. Let's stop letting the same shows take up the spots and the slots. They can all stay, but we gotta get more shows represented. This game can have a giant load of characters. You could start off with the same amount of characters as a base roster and then start building real DLC for racers to become playable. Let's pull this up one last time. Whoops, not the online, but we could go above and beyond 6 bosses. They could come out with other characters with their own unique challenges where you could be able to unlock them and earn the right to be able to battle them and challenge them for a boss. Beat the boss and get a new character. It's just things like that they can do with these new characters. All the characters that some of y'all see in the pack, just new reps, they can come out with stuff so people can be able to unlock some of these characters. And then they can have a successful product because we have something to look forward to. And then you put the characters in the garage to have them be unlockable from playing the game and not having to worry about having to win all the time. Being active and playing the game can get you the rewards that you need and the characters that you want to unlock. I like what they did with the garage unlockables, but doing and pushing characters like Helga and all the other characters that were secrets. And one big secret, you wouldn't know how to unlock these characters at all. It needs to show you how to unlock characters and tell you, and let alone put the racers in the garage. DLC can be paid for, and then you can challenge them. And one challenge mode and be able to try to beat them in a difficult race and try to come in first place and beat them that way instead of having to worry about online. But let me know what y'all think. Maybe this game is probably not going to come out until next year. Looney Tunes probably is the game that we're going to get for this year.